Hello everyone, welcome. This is Nick from Top Notch Sports, and today we got a lot to discuss. Let's hop right into this thing.
180. 180, set.
Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Nick.
Hello there, I am Tyler.
What's up? I'm Nico.
And this is Top Notch Sports. Today we're going to go over, is Jalen Carter's stock in jeopardy after the recent allegations? Recently, just today, actually, we saw that Jalen Carter is subject to an arrest warrant after recklessly driving, allegedly. Let's go, Tyler. You know probably more than I do about this. What do you got on this so far? And just discuss what happened according to what you know.
So, according to the Athens police, 2 people were killed. Georgia recruiting staffer Chandler LaCroix and offensive lineman Devin Willick, who were both sadly killed in the driving. My sincere condolences to their friends and family. This stuff should never happen, but unfortunately in this world it always does, unfortunately. And the other news is Chandler LaCroix's blood alcohol level, or BAC, was way above the legal limit. It was a 0.197. The limit in Georgia is 0.8. So that's definitely not good. And according to the police as well, Jalen Carter misled the police into, let's say, not helping until it was too late. So very unfortunate. Nico, you have anything to say?
Yeah. So about Jalen Carter, pretty unfortunate what happened. But regarding his stock in the draft is what's something that I'm a little bit interested to see in here. I do want to see how it all shakes out. I mean, he's getting charged allegedly with some, serious, stuff going on now. So I'd like to see how it all shakes out. Me personally, I don't really think it's going to be that big of a drop. I mean, it may be a couple picks, but I do still think he's going to go first round pretty easily. I mean, a lot of talent there. Watched a little bit of him when he played against Ohio State in the semifinal. Looks like a solid player, but me personally, I don't think his stock is going to drop very much, like some people will think. I'll let Nick take over here.
All right, yeah, cool. So I was going to ask you guys, how do you think this will affect his stock? And I'll be honest, I kind of agree with what you guys are both saying here. As for what Nico just said, I think because it came out so early, right? And we're what now, a month and a half away from the draft yet? What are we in March now about? So yeah, about a month and a half, almost 2 months. We got a lot of time for this to kind of develop. Now, the question is that, he already had meetings with some teams. Did he inform these GMs and these people that he had meetings with that this was an ongoing case? And if he did not, this may impact his stock even more. When something like this comes out, as a GM, as a coach or something, you want the player to be open and honest about you. Like, hey, I got an ongoing thing happening right now. I just want to let you know and be aware of this. If he did not inform them, a red flag has to go up. Okay. You've got to be open about these things. And another thing I want to mention here too is that, a lot of guys recently in the NFL, I mean, me being a Raiders fan, Henry Ruggs with driving, is just a lot of issues have been going on with driving, reckless driving under, being influenced, by drinking too much, being intoxicated. This kind of needs to be cut out. The NFL needs to do something more. I don't know what the NFL can really do. I mean, everyone is their own human being, right? You got to make smart decisions. And I know this is in college, but this is something that really needs to be, looked at. And these players need to be, I mean, I know they probably don't want to hear it, but there's no reason to be, driving recklessly. There really is no reason to be doing that. At the end of the day, I really don't care what happens to the person that's driving recklessly. I do care about the people that are impacted by it. In the Henry Ruggs situation, when he ran into the woman, my heart and my, sympathy goes out to the family that was impacted. Henry Ruggs, he did what he did. And, unfortunate for that woman, her life was taken away because someone else's stupid decision. So, people really got to get their head on straight and got to understand that when you step in a vehicle, use it to get from point A to point B and not be so reckless when you're on the road, and have some consideration for everybody else. Because again, even with the Ruggs situation, I know that doesn't have anything to do with Jalen Carter, but the Ruggs situation specifically, when you step in that car, when you're intoxicated, you may think that you're going to make it home safe. But at the end of the day, you really don't know. And look what happened to that woman. You know what I mean? Ruggs did not probably think he would run into somebody, but it happened. So you got to understand what could happen when you do step in the car. I'll go back to Tyler here. Tyler, my question to you is going to be, what kind of impact does this have to teams that already, interviewed him? Like I said, I think it has a huge impact if he did not tell them that this is ongoing. So I'll let you go and take it over here.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, if he didn't tell them, and this is only if he didn't, honestly, they might cut him off their board entirely, to be honest, because NFL GMs, interviews are important. I know some people don't take them as seriously as maybe a lot of the casual media should, but they're important. Look at it's a different situation, but I'm sure you guys remember Ja'Kai Polite, correct? So in Ja'Kai Polite's case, his combine was horrible. It was absolutely wretched, and apparently he had a horrible attitude to almost every single team except for the Rams, which pretty much cut him off of almost probably half a team's boards. And I think something same could happen with Carter. Jalen Carter's more talented than Ja'Kai was, but I do think he could fall maybe to like 8th, 11th, possibly, maybe, because you don't want someone to lie to you. You need to tell them about that type of stuff so that they can, because then it's a trust of betrayal. If someone betrays you, guess what? You're not going to immediately trust them again. So I'd say overall, I do believe his stock will drop a little. He'll still go first round. And like you said, it happened so early. There's a lot of time for this to develop. Kind of like how Deshaun Watson's case, there was a ton of time to develop because we were in the offseason and it was endless drama, allegation after allegation after allegation. And I still do believe that he should take accountability for what he did. But we'll see. He did say, though, that what was it? He said that he was going to go to the police. He was taken in by the police. And he said that he'll come out clean or whatever he said. So that kind of tells me that he didn't tell the GMs. At least that's a hint, but don't quote me on that. So, and I guess the question I have for you and Nick is, have you kind of noticed a consistent problem with specifically SEC players getting arrested? I mean, Henry Ruggs, as Nick stated, Jalen Carter now, DeAndre Baker, if you remember, and even from other SEC schools, LSU, Darius Geis, Jamarcus Russell, in Florida, Aaron Hernandez, Antonio Callaway. Like, it just seems like the SEC always has these guys with character problems. Do you think there's a set reason for it, or is it just seems like it happens in the SEC specifically so often? And also Jamon, the linebacker for Georgia, also got arrested for reckless driving on the highway. So it's kind of somewhat of a similar situation to Jalen. So, Nico, do you have anything to is there any reason why it's a bunch of SEC players, or is it just a coincidence?
I don't know. Maybe it's just a lack of discipline within the programs in the SEC. I know what the Big Ten is. I mean, I've seen clips and stuff. Like, they don't play around. I don't know how it is in the SEC. I'm not an SEC fan. I don't watch it. But maybe it's just a lack of discipline within the program. I mean, if you look at Alabama too, they're pretty disciplined. I don't really see any Alabama players get in trouble mostly. Not all the time. Maybe once they've left Alabama, but not when they're at Alabama. Not really a lot of problems there. But just disciplined programs produce disciplined players, I guess. So I don't know what's up with Georgia and what they have going, but I think it's just program based. And if they're not teaching their guys to be disciplined on and off the field, then you're just going to get the person that they were before they came there.
Yeah, very true. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, like I said, these programs too, they can only do so much as well. Like Nico kind of just said, Alabama, the Henry Ruggs situation, that was totally, that had nothing to do with Alabama directly. He went there, he made a decision. Las Vegas too. And then that's another thing. Certain teams are NFL teams really got to consider stuff like this. Like, do they want these guys? Like, if you're the Raiders right now with Damon Arnett and Henry Ruggs happening, those two situations, do you want to take a chance on a guy that may have these behavioral issues, these off-field issues, and I know McDaniels is, regime is totally different than the John Gruden scheme and, regime and Mike Mayock, but still, Mark Davis right now has to be stressing, that he's bringing in good guys to the city of Las Vegas so that they don't have these issues. With that being mentioned, I want to talk about the guys that have something come out right before the draft. Certain guys get things that come out right before the draft and it impacts their stock. We saw it with Josh Allen. We saw it with Laramie Tunsil. Most of these things come out right before the draft. I think that has a larger impact. I just want to hear you guys on that. So, Tyler, I'll let you go. Nico, you go, and then we'll wrap it up. But what do you think has more of an impact? 2 months before the draft. Now that, I think me personally, I think knowing it 2 months before the draft is a little bit better than right before the draft. But I just want to hear what you guys think about that.
All right. Thanks, Nick. I say you definitely want it to happen way before, because if it happens like literally before the draft, like with that weird Laramie Tunsil situation or Josh Allen with those tweets or whatever when he was like a teenager, you have almost no time to react. You already had him right here on your board. Now this comes out. Now you don't know what to think, and you don't have enough time to process or gather all the information that you need to. So you basically either have to say, oh, I really like this guy, but this happened. So do I take him? Do I not? It's basically a no-win situation. It's between a rock and a hard place. You're probably screwed one way and you're probably screwed the other way. Nico, I'll hand the mic off to you.
Yeah. So answering your question, I think it's definitely worse if it comes out, let's say 20 minutes for the draft or maybe an hour or two before. Like, for this situation, I mean, we're over a month and a half away until the draft officially begins in April 27th. So there's a lot of time. Like, for all we know, next week, this could all be dropped or he could be released and it could all be over with next week. But, a night before a draft or something like this came out, I mean, he would probably drop very, very far. Like, he might not even get drafted. This came out the night before. So it's just, time definitely plays a factor, but I definitely feel like it happening now was better than it happening a day or a little bit before the draft. And
Yeah.
I'll pass it back to you.
Awesome. Cool. So, all right, now let me put you guys in that position now, right? We got a GM content creator mock draft, right? We got 4 minutes left before we got to wrap this thing up for sure. But coming up, you guys are going to be in the role to make these decisions. Okay. Now I want to kind of press this issue a little bit more because I agree, like, having it right now, 2 months beforehand, they can do their research. They'll figure out a good understanding. Again, these are all alleged things that nothing is proven yet. Nobody has any idea, and they can do the research. And next thing you know, maybe all this just gets thrown away and nothing ever happened. And he claims he's innocent and nothing ever happened, or something does come out and it's a bad thing. Let's say you're in the room, you have the 5th overall pick. You're about to, you're not on the board, but you kind of have an idea of who you want. And 20 minutes before the draft, this comes out. Not Carter. I'm just using any random player that you want. Something comes out that's alleged. We're saying that it has more of an impact, but are you actually going to change your pick 20 minutes before with a lack of information? That's what I want to know. And I'll start with Tyler and then I'll go Nico and then I'll wrap it up. But again, I want to point this out. You have no research on it, but it's just something alleged and it's 20 minutes before. Okay. Could just be smoke in the wind, right? I mean, they can just be throwing a smoke screen, just something that, coming out. It could be absolutely nothing. Are you passing on your guy 20 minutes before the draft after you have, your guy circled on your board? You've had him all week, all month. That's your guy. He's there. Are you changing because something allegedly comes out 20 minutes before the draft? Tyler, then Nico, real fast answer, and then we'll sum it up.
That's rough. 20 minutes before the draft. Honestly, I might maybe do sort of a counter plan then, a plan B and trade down possibly if I could. If there's no one else I like, if there's another guy I really like, I would just take him at 5. Like if it's between Jalen Carter and Tyree Wilson, screw it. I'll just take Tyree Wilson. So that's mainly my job. I'm not the guy that takes any risks. I'm a very conservative person. And that's just my mindset. And I feel like no one would give an allegation for pretty much no reason unless they're a complete moron, which there is a lot of morons, but not everyone is a moron. Nico, your thoughts?
See, if I have the number 5 pick and I've done my research on, for example, we'll use Jalen Carter. If I've done my research and I know that when he comes here and everything that possibly going on with him can be straightened out, like we could figure the problems out, I'm absolutely taking him in the number 5 pick. Because if that's someone that you know will make a difference in your organization and provide for your team, if you really believe that, then you got to take that person. I don't feel like it's a good idea to, settle for maybe your second or third best player just because the first guy you want had something come out for him 24 minutes for the draft that you may not even be true. So I'll just leave it at that. I'm taking him still if I feel like it can get solved.
Awesome. Good. All right, guys, that's all from us. Again, I want to make sure I mention this too real fast. My whole take on is I agree with the stance of I don't see him falling that much. I mean, unless something crazy comes out and, he possibly jail time or so, okay, then maybe. But if it's just alleged and he gets out of it or, he talks to these GMs, I think we're going to still see this guy go top 5. He's going to probably be the first or second guy taken that's a non-quarterback in this draft, unless something comes out crazy. Besides that, that's all from us. I want to go real fast. Tyler is a Packers fan. Nico is a Browns fan. Just real fast, plug in your pages real fast. Just tell them what it is on Instagram.
Green Bay Hornet.
Awesome. And Nico?
Browns.live.
Awesome. Cool. That's all from us. We'll see you guys soon. Peace. We are Built Betters.